Biden said that he'd run to Venezuela to try to give the rebels support, think they would win. It doesn't mean that there aren't groups in Libya who don't like the goofy dictator Muammar Gaddafi. But Muammar Gaddafi is independent and has tried to build a strong Africa outside of the New World Order. And that's why he must be brought down. He doesn't have an international private central bank running his country. They have their own central bank. And that's why the system is doing this. And they think we have no memory where they're telling us Al-Qaeda's horrible. We've got to take all your liberties in America because they may attack you any minute. The end of the Bill of Rights, freedom is dead. America surrenders and gives up all its rights to Homeland Security to keep us safe because of Al-Qaeda. But then Al-Qaeda, who wants to overthrow the secular Arab leader, Gaddafi, is being brought in to do this, and then we're being told it's humanitarian and we've got to bomb them and attack them to protect them. I mean, think about it, folks. Anwar al-Awlaki, the #1 guy under bin Laden, secretly hanging out at the Pentagon. The Taliban and Al-Qaeda being flown out to safety in the first few months of the Afghan war to start the next crisis. Al-Qaeda being used to attack the Serbs. When the Serbs fight back, oh, it's humanitarian, we've got to bomb them. They just move Al-Qaeda around all over the world, call them humanitarian freedom fighters if anybody resists them, and then the UN and NATO comes in and bombs the daylights out of them. But at least with the attack in the 90s against Serbia, they went and got congressional authorization for force. At least Bush with his illegal wars, because they were still wars of aggression, but he went and got the Congress to sign off on it, wasn't engaged in that form of brazen treason. Obama, less than 48 hours after the UN gave that resolution to invade, openly, in front of everyone, he ordered the U.S. military to start bombing and firing cruise missiles when out in the open, the UN had given the order and Obama hadn't even consulted Congress. This is a huge issue that's taking place here, my friends, and I hope you'll research the fact that Al-Qaeda is an arm of the globalist. Al-Qaeda is an arm of the New World Order. Al-Qaeda is a system that the New World Order uses to menace civilizations into giving up their liberties in the name of protection, and also to go stir up revolutions and wars to then pose as freedom fighters so the globalists have an excuse to come in and take over countries. This is 21st century imperialism. And Al-Qaeda is the key set piece on this game of chess to bring us into the world government. They are a creation of the private banking cartels who are waging wars against the nation state and all basic liberties that defend the rights of the indigenous populations of the nation states. Al-Qaeda is CIA, is MI6, is Mossad, is Saudi Arabian intelligence. And they've caught British SAS dressed up like Al-Qaeda shooting at police in Basra to get Sunnis and Shiites killing each other. I mean, Al-Qaeda is the Swiss Army knife of destabilization. They are that magic go-to tool that's used to foment the crisis so the globalists have the excuse to offer the solution. We've broken down one of the biggest modern ongoing hoaxes in history where you're un-American if you don't support the freedom fighters of Al-Qaeda. Well, I don't support them, and I don't agree with what Ronald Reagan said about them, saying that they were founding father material. I don't like Al-Qaeda. Now, you may hate me because I don't love Al-Qaeda. I'm not going to apologize. I'm sorry. I hate Al-Qaeda, and I hate their handlers even more. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds? Okay, we checked. That's my report from March of last year. So a year and 3 months ago. There we are breaking it down. I thought now we would go over some new conspiracy theories. Admissions that the State Department is working with Al-Qaeda and landing them in Tripoli and now using them in Syria. But again, there's Paul Watson's article. It's got links to all of it in the London Telegraph. You name it, Al-Qaeda terrorist airlifted from Libya to aid in Syrian opposition. And we link to a bunch of mainstream articles right there. But let's show you more of them here. Let's go to some of those actual, London Telegraph, can't read them anymore. You know, as thousands of Al-Qaeda are publicly shipped in. We've got their Al-Qaeda flags, their black Al-Qaeda uniforms. It's all public. In fact, go back up there to the top right there so folks can see that. So people can see that headline and then go read it for themselves. Libya, the West and Al-Qaeda on the same side. Let's go to the next article here. of sacrilege. Oh, Fox. Uh-oh, they're 9/11 truthers. Shock. America fighting on the side of al-Qaeda in Libya. So you just saw me break down the whole history of this earlier. Webster Tarpley, al-Qaeda does U.S. dirty work in Libya. He was breaking all that before it was in the L.A. Times and Fox and everywhere. But you know him, he's evil. I mean, because being right is evil. Get that evil man off the screen. Leading Libya Islamists met Free Syrian Army opposition group. And then these same guys were at Bilderberg this year. I was there covering it. And the media was forced to admit it existed. I thought it was a conspiracy and didn't exist when I was bad. I mean, all of this is building up to something. Don't worry, Obama, truth squads, and beyond. And we have more of these reports. Just al-Qaeda says they're going to kill all the Jews and expel or kill all the Christians in Syria. And the big mainline neocons and liberals say, good. I mean, they ethnically cleanse tens of thousands of blacks in Libya. And it's like, hell yeah. The only good black Libyan's a dead one. It's liberal. I mean, the Peace Prize president is bombing countries right now. He says the UN and NATO run Congress, and Congress said, yes, sir. So I want to apologize for ever questioning these known liars and saying that al-Qaeda worked with the bankers that have taken over our country. I mean, even though on record they do, I want to be trendy and accepted by the mainstream dying media. Oh, here's clips from Obama deception 3.5 years ago saying they would invade Libya. And then actual footage of it happening. But again, I mean, you know what? Again, being right years beforehand, that's bad. Having an incredible track record of accuracy, that's bad. And I want to apologize right now to you tonight that I was right again. Excuse me for breathing. Okay, again, from the Obama deception, saying they would invade Libya with al-Qaeda and set up AFRICOM with the fake PR stunts like Coney 2012. But again, you know, again, we're just absolutely dead on. I mean, there it is from 3.5 years ago, Obama deception, and then the latest, well, now it's up to 40,000 blacks they've slaughtered. Okay, moving away from al-Qaeda being the Islamicist global New World Order brigade to destabilize and take over countries, the literal skeleton key to open any door you need. Use it against your own population to take their liberties. Use it against your enemies. Use it for anything. I mean, hell, if the New World Order needs their plumbing fixed, they call al-Qaeda. But again, I'm not supposed to talk about that. Let's shift gears. I saw the BBC 2 days ago say that the UN wants to end national sovereignty because it's not good for globalism. But again, I'm the conspiracy theorist for reading their own documents and warning all these years. Now they're out in the open. That makes it even worse that I've been proven accurate. Here's another one from NFOWARS.com with links to the UN's own website itself. It's got links to their official documents, kind of like they say they want to ban all firearms that Americans own. That's on the official UN website. But again, we're conspiracy theorists saying they might want our guns, even though they've disarmed people all over the world before they line them up and shoot them to take their property, as they admit they've done in Uganda and other areas of the world. All right, I'm going to stop being sarcastic here. The point is, UN receives Agenda 21 funding from world governments and corporations. Well, yeah, world governments run by mega corporations who are anti-free market monopoly people. They all have set up this combine. The Rockefellers, the robber barons, set up the United Nations. These huge numbers give a sense of the scale and growth of investment going into sustainable development. That means they shut down all their competition, and only globalists can operate in business. They are part of a growing global movement for change. Our job now is to create a critical mass, a irresistible momentum. That's the UN Secretary Ban Ki-moon in the UN document itself, getting billions of dollars outside of governments, giving it to them because they're going to get trillions total from taxpayers. A lot of the corporations want it. Government can shut down their competition, and it can give them corporate welfare checks. Oh, but wait. I'm going to talk about a prominent libertarian later. No one knows who they are, but they say they're prominent. Who says that any discussion of corruption or shadowy groups, it does not exist. So just everything's fine here. Of course, we're going to play you that CNBC thing where they said, yeah, we're run by global government. Yeah, big banks run everything. We're their slaves. I mean, they say that in The Economist and Financial Times now. Financial Times writes articles constantly saying, like, now for world government. It's authoritarian. It's been secret. We're enslaving you. Be assimilated to be destroyed. It's like Saruman telling Gandalf, you will join with Sauron. I mean, it's just, and it's like, I don't want to join with Sauron. And he says, Sauron does not exist then. Imagine that. It's like, and again, I know Sauron doesn't really exist. It's a metaphor. It's an allegory. The New York Times will have fun with that one. Being deceptive to their audience. Good. Knock your stock down. Drive everybody to listen to us. That's good. Keep being deceptive. Keep saying you're the gatekeeper who controls everything. So there is that report. Now, using the TPP is the next piece to renegotiate and expand NAFTA. And they had the SPP that got in all that trouble for making secret regulations without congressional approval. And so they've moved to this new organization. And we've got links to all the different documents with the big corporate organizations that are sponsoring it, where they get all the government leaders from Mexico, the U.S., and Canada together to then agree to things outside of law with the bureaucracies. And I remember CNN about 5 years ago, that was when I was making Endgame, they actually went on the news and said, Ron Paul is insane, the Trans-Texas Corridor does not exist, and the NAFTA superhighways don't exist. We had all the Department of Transportation maps, billboards up in Texas saying Trans-Texas Corridor. They were going to charge you with transponders to drive down all major roads. And everybody in Texas was like, there's billboards, it's on the news. And CNN said, does not exist. Oh, you said so, okay. And then they started pulling the billboards, though, because, I mean, if CNN's going to say it doesn't exist, they're like, oh, hell, we better. Again, every time you confront them, they back off. Oh, you don't like the SPP? We'll come back 5 years later with the TPP. Oh, you don't like, NAFTA's not going to get rid of your jobs. There's going to be no sucking sound. Well, what did Al Gore say on Larry King to the guy he was, they're demonizing Ross Perot. Ross Perot's like, listen, Canadians are paying on average about $30 an hour, U.S. $19 an hour. When they got rid of the trade agreement 5 years ago, it automatically equalized. But something happened, Larry. And you can pull these debates up online on YouTube if you think I'm joking. Larry, the U.S. pay went from $19 to below $14, and the Canadian dropped from close to $30 down to about $17. This is not going to help workers. It's going to destroy the market. Henry Ford needed to pay his employees enough so they could buy cars, Larry. And then Al Gore and his whole effeminate things like, no, conspiracy theory. This is a great deal, Larry. I mean, you can watch this whole debate. It's incredible. It's still on YouTube last time I checked. And, of course, Ross Perot was absolutely right. Because Larry King's like, well, won't this help Mexican workers? Larry, did you just hear what I just said? Canada's getting close to $30 an hour. The U.S. worker's getting $19. The U.S. worker drops down to $14. The Canadian worker drops down to below $19. The Mexican worker getting an average of $1 an hour. He dropped, Larry. Larry, I got the numbers right here. It dropped, Larry. It's a giant sucking sound. It's a race to the bottom, Larry. You got to pay people so there is an economy, Larry. If not, it's all going to consolidate, which was the plan. How did NAFTA and GATT? See, if Canadians were paid $100, that would suddenly raise Americans to $75 and Mexicans to $25. But see, globalism doesn't do that, and it's not meant to do that. They've admitted it's a consolidation to implode the world economy, get everybody in false debt, and then take it over, as is happening now, and that clip is coming up. But again, being informed, having a memory, that's called being a conspiracy theorist. Larry, this is not helping Canadians, Americans, or Mexicans. It will lower it all. Giant sucking sound.